last week she had sent, I got screwed up, I guess, on the computer. Everything, all the counties.
Can she can tell me how much they asked for, then, all right?
Yeah.
I need to know that.
So what,
And then I need a report showing what I took. I thought they always sent that out to the counties when they send it to West Virginia.
they always do.
And she's not doing that.
Well, I think here's what they do. It's a little different. See that?
Yeah. I mean, this is good. You got 25 coyotes in the top.
Well, anyway, that came out last year, 24/11. That was at our last meeting. That's all I've got. So
See, that was at your last meeting,
yeah.
so last winter.
So
See, I wonder what this is.
The room has been cleared.
We're basically representing the ADC program, Animal Damage Control. And I think the secretary sent information explaining to the county commissioners, actually what we do. Because there's 2 new commissioners, you know what we do, because you're from Blanchard and you and Shane, you know.
That's what we do, right?
Yeah, so you know, you kind of know.
Those darn
So
town halls.
basically, I'm here, I'm the county rep, it's just sort of a volunteer. Each county has a representative, plus the federal trapper to kind of, I'm the one that has to ask for the money. He can't. So that's why I'm here.
That's what we do.
Yeah, so,
No, he does a lot more than that. He goes to meetings and stuff like that.
So I think the secretary sent you kind of an update of not only what we did, but kind of what Shane has been doing since the first of the year. I don't know, but he can explain that. But the amount of predators that, you know, he's got. And it's a statewide deal, and he's a federal employee. And each county has a person like myself, and then I think there's, 5 trappers? Or more than that.
More than that.
Anyway, so Shane has, 5 northern counties?
7.
7 northern counties. 1 guy for 7 northern counties. So he's all over the place. But
Our agency is the epitome of efficiency. There's about 23, 24 employees in the whole state.
So we push animals from one county to another, and then whichever got the bigger budget is where we trap it.
No.
Release it
Yeah.
anyway, that's kind of the overview of.
Did you feel an increase in some of the clearing? I'll just talk to my section then. Shane, did you see an increase as we were clearing more lands down in that area of people making predator complaints, or no? I remember we had that conversation last season about the clear cutting that was going to be happening down in the Old Town area. Was that going to push more things that direction? Did you have increased calls?
I didn't have increased calls in that area, but I have had a big increase in lion problems in countywide in the last year. In fact, I just removed one last night up Riley Creek, shot a big tom that killed 4 goats. I've removed since a year ago, January, I removed 6 lions in Bonner County. But they're kind of all over, Lake Shore, Riley Creek, Sago Road, Wrinkle Loop. But, and we did attempt to remove a lion last spring, I think right after we talked last year, out in Blanchard. There was a young one running around giving people a bunch of problems, but if I had trap set, Fish and Game had trap set, and a landowner caught it in a chicken coop and shot it. But that's the only one out in that area. I have not had an increase in calls as a result of the logging.
I know one of the things was getting more awareness for what people can do instead of just taking things into their own hands, but using resources that we have available as we were going through more clearing of things. There's a difference of living out there where there's just nothing, like my place is nothing but mountains behind it, so you just live with it.
What do you do with the mountain lions?
Kill them.
You kill them?
Euthanize them.
Okay,
When
you said
they're-
trap, that's just to keep them long enough to shoot them.
When they're killing livestock,
Oh, I get it.
we do not
I
relocate
get
them.
it. They can kill.
Such a hard one because they have.
They do, and that's why I don't get involved. If they're killing deer, that's what lions do.
Yeah.
But when they start preying on domestic livestock and hanging around people and kids and stuff, then
What about wild dogs and wolves?
I have not had any wolf problems this year, but I certainly, if they're killing livestock, I do take care of wolves. I can trap dogs if requested by the sheriff. Other than that, no, I don't deal with private like pets unless requested by the sheriff. If they're a chronic nuisance or a threat or killing livestock and the sheriff requests it, we usually try to avoid that.
Yeah.
Because that's private property, and the landowner's legal to shoot dogs that are attacking their livestock, and that's how we prefer to have it handled. Grizzly bears, they've been much less of a problem the last couple of years. I'm sure you guys are aware, a couple of years ago, we had a blow up of a lot of grizzly problems from about Naples north. I did snare 2 of those, and we euthanized both of those. And that seemed to take care of the problem. I mean, that's proof right there that management works. I mean, we took care of the problem bears, and we still got bears around, but we got the problem animals out of there, and we haven't had any livestock depredating bears in the last couple summers.
With grizzly bears.
Knock on wood, but
Grizzly bears are, it's okay. They're a federal, they come under, the Fish and Wildlife Service. So if you've got a grizzly problem, I guess you get a hold of Fish and Game first, but they get a hold of Fish and Wildlife Service, and they have to make the decision of what to do with the grizzly. I mean, they're protected, and so you have to get a hold of a Fish and Wildlife Service to come and say, yeah, we're going to euthanize it, or we're going to, tag it and move it, put them to sleep for a while, then we'll move it. So grizzly bear is a little bit different than coyotes are.
Sure.
they are. With black bear, lion, wolves, I can just go out and remove them. With grizzly bears, it's my job to trap it, and then I turn over custody, and then Fish and Wildlife Service and Fish and Game determines what they're gonna do with the bear. So that's out of my control with grizzly bears. For now, I'd like to see them delisted to where we have a little more management flexibility.
Okay, my turn to ask about financing. In the past, up until 2008 and 9, this county was giving $5,000 a year. And then there was a financial problem all over the United States. So they cut all outside funding in half. And as soon as I saw that, I called the commissioners, and he said, no, he says, the program, we still like the program because you do a lot to help us with, protect, the culverts, going under, the highways and stuff, and so we don't have to rebuild the thing. Anyway, he says, we like the program, but we cut everything in half. Well, ever since then, I've been trying to bring it up, so we're at 4,000, so I'm asking for 5,000 for this particular year.
What does that cover?
What's that?
What does that cover? What are your expenses? A new rifle and a box of ammo?
He finds the money and Shane spends the money.
I asked for the money. I'm volunteering.
I use all my own firearms. I do get $150 a year ammo allotment. And when you reload, that'll reload me quite a few rounds. But that covers, we probably should explain this. This program is funded by a variety of sources, okay? There's some federal dollars, there's some state dollars. Fish and Game pitches in for us to take care of these depredation problems because of our particular skills, and the knowledge and skills that we have to deal with that. There's the cooperators themselves pitch in, the livestock producers. When a calf is sold, there's a head tax on a calf that goes back to us, a few cents on the head. When the wool is sold, the sheepmen, when they sell wool, there's a wool tax that goes back to us. And then we ask for a few county dollars from each county as well. And that basically covers my position, wages, vehicle, fuel, all that stuff. And I will say, it stays within our district, and I think District 1 is just me. I cover 7 counties: Boundary, Bonner, Kootenai, Shoshone, Bentonville, Latah, and about half of Clearwater. The next trapper down is in Riggins, and he covers south, like from New Meadows up to Orofino, that side of Clearwater. So that stays within that district, okay? It doesn't go to other parts of the state. If that makes you
I
feel
think
any
clearly
better.
put the contribution that they get from Bonner County is the service is actually used within Bonner County when you consider what he's trapping. We're not really contributing to the other counties. We're barely contributing all of what he's spending in our county when you consider the distance that he travels for the different calls. And so if I remember there was a request that we go a little bit higher in the budget that on the last couple of times, and I don't remember that we shifted at all on you guys on the last few budget requests.
We're requesting 5,000 as opposed to 4, so
Yeah.
trying to bring it
But
up
all
to
of
19,
the 4 is more, doesn't
2008.
it doesn't fully pay for the service that Shane does in only Bonner County when you consider our landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how we would say to just use it here, because some years you might get,
I mean, in terms of the number that
fortunately,
you
I live
trap,
in Bonner County, so.
the number that, when you look at how much, $4,000 isn't that much money, but when you look at because I think we had this conversation last time, is how do the counties justify their increase because it's really, what does my county get is what we're thinking of. And when you consider the number of animals that you trap in our area and the distance traveled, it's reasonable to say that our money is being spent in our county, that we're actually using the service. That's what I mean. Not that you're saying like you're allocating it that way, but that we can justify the cost because the service is being used in our county, not just available for use in our county. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So are you guys under the Department of Agriculture? You guys,
Yes. I'm under it's USDA,
USDA.
APHIS, which is Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Services. So I'm
so
under
you're
USDA.
you're a state agency,
I'm a
Federal
you're a
agency.
federal
USDA.
agency, USDA.
Yep. United States Department of Agriculture. I just had a meeting yesterday in Benewah County, and there was some confusion. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We have similar names. We used to be ADC, Animal Damage Control. And for some reason, they changed our name quite a few years back to Wildlife Services. And
Make
I
us
don't know
more friendly
why,
to the general
because
public.
Yeah.
but it's so
It doesn't
close to
sound
Fish
like
and
you
Wildlife
remove
Service.
animals permanently as much.
I think that was the objective.
Yeah. It's the kinder,
Get
gentler
Animal
euthanization.
control out of
Relocation
there.
services.
And so when I refer to it, I say the federal trapper, well, I should, I should.
Wildlife Services
Yeah, I should
Specialist.
just- yes.
So because of the large geographic area you're serving, is that a full-time position or is it a part-time position?
It's full-time.
Okay. So you're just bouncing back and forth as the calls come in and prioritizing the
Yep.
need?
And when I don't have calls, I do a lot of preventative work with coyotes. Beaver, I do a lot of beaver trapping, especially for this county. A few of the other counties call me Bonner County Road. I do a number of jobs for the road crews when the beaver are plugging the culverts. I mean, that can save them a lot of money. I mean, it takes a lot of money to take an excavator out there and clean culverts out time after time after time. If they can call me out there and remove the beaver, they only gotta do it once. So I've taken quite a few beaver out of Bonner County. And coyotes I do preventatively. So certain times a year, this is my real busy season right now. Now and through the summer, but sometimes in the winter it's not so busy. And so I do a lot of what I call preventative. Coyotes I can take preventatively. So I'm just working on those before they cause a problem. Keeping them kind of thinned out on ranches where they historically cause problems.
Like how he says working on them, just got a whole lot of things that don't say in the fly. Just working on coyotes.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to eat.
All right.
So do you work in conjunction with citizens, other trappers that trap cats and the beavers, all that stuff? Or how do you interact with the private sector, the public,
Well,
doing that?
We do not want to, how do I explain this? We do not want to, compete with private trappers. But say with lions, there's no season to trap lions. If it's a open hunting season and they would like to get a tag, great. If they want to have a guy with hounds, if it's an open hound season and they want to use hounds, great. Problem is, summertime when it's hot, I mean, I've ran dogs. I mean, you're not gonna always get them. I use a thermal and I can get there the first night and take care of it before he comes back and they lose another couple 3, another couple the next night. So I like to think my skills are a little more effective at times, you know what I mean? Plus, that's my job. I'm on call. I mean, a lot of guys say, I'd like to do this, but if you get a call, can you be in, you know, Boundary County up by the Canadian border tonight? Drop everything, be there tonight, sit all night long till 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, or be down in Orofino tomorrow? I mean, a lot of guys say they want to do stuff, but they don't. But I don't do a lot of bobcat stuff. So if you're talking about when you say cats, I'm not competing with the private trappers at all with cats. And wolves, we only handle wolves when they're causing problems. And honestly, I have not had, pleasantly surprised, I have not had a lot of wolf depredations up here. We have had some, but with domestic livestock, they've been much less than I would have expected. Now, yeah, they're hammering the deer and elk and moose.
They are definitely doing that.
They are definitely doing that.
Is it
We'll come to
correct
a
that
murder scene.
when you get contacted about a depredation situation, is it correct that you have special authority to take an animal in a different way, using different methods and different seasons than the average licensed hunter would have, or trapper? So there's a special authority that you have to go in and deal with a problematic animal that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do myself because of whatever the rules are that I need to follow.
Some things, yes, some things, no. I still have to abide by a trap check. I still have to be so many feet away from an exposed carcass because we don't want to catch non-targets, you know. But yes, I can go trap a lion where there's no trapping season for lion. I can go trap or snare wolves even when it's not trapping season if they're killing livestock. Okay, so certain rules are different for me. I can use a thermal. Thermal's not legal.
That's what caught my attention when you said that.
But I can use a thermal for wolves, for lions, for bears. But only when they're killing livestock, not just to go out and thin them out. I mean, and unfortunately, if somebody calls me and says, I saw a lion in my backyard or they killed my dog, I really can't go take a lion out because it killed a pet. It's livestock. Now, if the sheriff requests it or the Fish and Game requests it, and once in a great while they do, then I can. But by and large, the way our MOU is set up, that they're basically, I'm here for livestock depredations. So there, in my view, there's very little competition with the private people.
The only reason I brought that up is because of, was it the Wildlife for Elk Foundation or whatever that one's called, where they got a lot of trappers in there trying to keep the numbers down on the wolves and stuff, so that trying to keep the number of the elk and everything up.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if you guys might work hand in hand with some of those groups, helping them in certain ways. I know you're saying that you're doing it for depredation purposes, so maybe those two don't.
Yeah, we don't really work with them.
Okay.
I think you're referring to the Foundation for Wildlife
Yes.
Management. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really work with them. That's kind of a private group, so. And and there's no doubt that they're probably helping the livestock people by keeping the wolf numbers down. But their main objective, in my opinion, is to save deer and elk. You know,
But they're working with commonly licensed trappers and hunters who work within the normal seasons for hunting and trapping, and they're just helping to build awareness and promote more people to participate. And so it's which is a different approach and a different role than depredation specific that you're addressing.
yeah.
This whole program was basically set up originally for livestock predation.
Which is why it's
the whole thing,
USDA.
I mean, that's how it all started.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now it's expanded a little bit simply because, you know, how many cattle ranches do we have in Bonner County, you know?
Yeah.
How many sheep people do we have left in Bonner County?
Well, Well, and in my opinion, when the county's pitching in, I don't think that my services should just be for the big cattle producers. I mean, they should be for the 4-H kids, you know, the small deals, just like what I did last night with the lion coming in, killing some people's goats.
All the taxpayers should be served
Yeah,
by,
I try to help everybody, help the road crew. You know, when we started doing that, they wanted me to charge for beaver trapping. And I says, no. I said, private people, if it's a farmer and it's flooding his agricultural field, I don't charge for beaver trapping. But there are some things that I charge for. If somebody has a house on the lake and the beaver's chewing a tree down in their front yards, they're not pitching into the program at all. I charge for that. Urban type stuff, woodpecker pecking a hole in the side of the bank. I charge for, I can do that sort of stuff. I charge for that.
How do we kill the woodpeckers? No, you hit it. I would like, oh, I'm sorry. How do we,
1022.
excuse me, how do we, what was the word that you used? How do we unalive them? I'm just going
Disalive.
straight to the kill portion of woodpeckers, especially when they want to hit metal. So what is our traffic? You just come to my house and trap a whole bunch of woodpeckers right now.
I'm sure there's appropriate ways to deal with protected
Show them a better
species.
place.
Is a woodpecker protected?
He rehomes them, yeah, they
They
are.
are,
If they're eating your beetles,
Jesus.
They get rehomed.
On the wood, is it just the big ones or the small
Is
ones
the
too?
pileated woodpecker, which one can we relocate?
which one can we eat?
I think they're all protected. I mean, I have a permit through the Fish and Wildlife Service to remove certain birds. But they're all protected, so.
Yeah, I don't know of any of them that are.
I don't think you wanna be like my mother-in-law. She went out and blasted one off the roof of the house and blew half the shingles off. I can say that now, she passed it.
Statute of limitations is up.
Why are they protected? They are very ever present, so what are we protecting them for?
That's a good question for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Why
Yeah,
are we
wrong
protect-
agency.
Why are we protecting grizzly bears when they've met the objective 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, I'm still on woodpecker.
Okay.
The woodpeckers eat our beetles, though.
No, the woodpecker is pecking at stuff he doesn't need to peck
They're
on.
picking on metal?
Like-
I mean, I was in my yard.
That's how
I
they
know that's
call-
how they call
Yeah,
another
they're mating
woodpecker,
call.
and then they all just
then they
come
all
and
come.
descend on your property, and then you try to find the metal ladder that it's doing this on. And so, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but can I refocus this?
I just wanted to, he never told me how to kill it. That's
Because
what
you're
he-
not allowed to. He can't disclose that.
No, he said he can. He said he can. See, I'm, all right.
Try to
refocus.
protect you, Commissioner.
There are.
You're going down a dangerous path right now.
I'll
This is
tell
a
you what I
federal
use.
issue.
I'll tell you what I use when I'm doing.
All right, so,
You build these little boxes out of.
For the record, everybody's just kidding.
Hypothetically.
tell me the design of this box I'm building.
Put these big rat traps inside the steel box and when they go in there.
All right. Next, go ahead.
But-
What do you want to kill?
So my question,
I'm on
my
pileated
question
woodpecker.
is, when a community member has an issue with predation of their livestock or damage to their agricultural land, large or small, how do they get a hold of you? How do they request your assistance?
Most of the ranchers know me.
I'm thinking more like the 4-H families and,
That usually they call the Fish and Game. When they
Okay.
lose something, they call the Fish and Game. I know all of the agricultural extension agents around. So if they call them, then they can refer them to me. Usually, most of my referrals come from the Fish and Game.
okay,
Somebody loses something, they call the Fish and Game, and Fish and Game referred them to me.
gotcha.
Are turkeys protected?
Unfortunately.
In Blanchard?
Unfortunately.
You could buy a lot of
What is
tags.
the rule on wild turkeys?
It's open season
How
right
many
now.
can you
It's
do?
just-
Gotta have a tag.
You have to have a tag and there's a season, 2 seasons.
It's spring season right now, and tags are cheap once you buy more than 2.
Unless they get stuck in your grill.
You live in Blanchard. Do you see all those turkeys?
I don't live in Blanchard.
You're close enough to see our problem.
They're everywhere.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, every ranch I go on, they says, sure, you can trap as long as you take about 20 turkeys with you.
Yeah.
And elk. They don't want the elk and the turkeys gone.
All right, so you're protecting everything that our problem is. So I hear. Turkeys, wood,
Mountain
I'm not,
mountain lions.
I'm wildlife services, that's regulated by you at the Fish and Game.
well, if we let the mountain lion eat the turkey.
Boy, they'd have to eat a lot of turkey.
Can we trade mountain lions to eat the turkeys? Because we really,
Yeah.
we really need to
It
reduce.
says it's so available, they don't even want to eat turkey.
No.
It's too easy.
Yeah, it's just turkeys. Why they brought them in here to begin with a season, and why there's not an open season,
Like grouse.
you know what I mean?
They might need to reevaluate that, given the
The only
population.
turkey I stop for is the albino turkeys that we have, because they are just very pretty birds. But all the rest of them are just,
They actually want those out of the population though. They
Because they-
recommend getting rid of those.
because
they're
Genetic
they-
misfits.
they mated with domesticated turkeys, but they're pretty. They're very, there's a Blanchard white one where you drive past, he'll just walk real slow so you can see him.
There's one on our.
Oh, that's why he's walking slow.
Yeah, because it's,
He's giving you the
He's a
feather.
little slow.
because it says I'm protected.
Oh.
And I still haven't washed the other one out, so I don't have room for another turkey in my grills. So we contact you through Fish and Game.
I forgot to bring any cards up. I usually, you guys are new, I usually bring a couple cards up. I could run down on my truck and run them back up, or if you want them, if you want a business
Yeah,
card.
if you got,
Yeah,
yeah,
if you don't
that'd be
mind,
great.
follow you down.
Okay, I'll run, yeah, I'll run out, pick up.
Fish and Game, and you want more money when we come budget season, $5,000.
5,000.
from
We
Ford.
actually sent in a request, not just to the county commissioners, but also to the clerk.
So you want 5,000 from him too, or 5,000 from?
From the county.
Well,
We're not
you
gonna
made it sound like it was two
double dip on this, but
separate
it-
requests.
Both, if that works.
We used to just send a letter to the clerks. And then, I don't know, 10 years ago, they said,
Like the comptroller came in.
why don't you send some to the commissioners? So then I requested, when we had our big meeting, that go ahead and send them to the commissioners also.
Because there wasn't a communication there. A lot of
Yeah.
times you weren't getting what went to the clerk.
Yeah.
Right.
We got it.
Yeah,
We know
no.
because the comptroller came in too to see how much money he wanted.
Yeah. I mean,
He
in
wants
some,
$5,000.
in some counties where the clerk had been there for like 30 years, we never went in, I mean, the county reps never went in and talked. They had just, we sent a letter, they just paid it.
Yeah.
As soon as the county clerk changed, then it was.
Re-education.
Yeah, I think we better go in and talk to them, so.
Now
I
you
thought
gotta
the
sell your
comptroller
product,
came
huh? Now you gotta sell your product again,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Before it was a, okay, right, it's Jim Bong.
Is there a
was
particular
nice.
protected species you wanted to speak about, or?
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
Skunks.
I actually wonder why we don't have like a vector control.
Of turkeys?
Just for nuisance animals.
Like skunks.
Yeah, what about skunks?
Skunks, rats, mosquitoes.
Not protected.
Not
Is there a
protected.
season or no season?
No,
either?
they're not
1022.
protected. They're like
Just be very
coyotes.
careful.
Are they
where you're
open
gonna
game? Okay.
Good luck.
You just have to be faster than the scent glands.
The request this year is really 5,000?
Well, he said 5,000 to you, the clerk, and 5,000 to the
We
commissioners.
have a
So
treasurer too, you could ask.
we're gonna send a
That's-
5,000
we're-
request for each elected
we're
official and see
requesting
who writes the
5,000.
check. Okay. All right.
Any questions? Think we got it covered?
I think we got it covered.
Yeah,
We
appreciate
know what we
the
can and can't do
education.
now.
I'll get you a card.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and if you know anybody, you talk to somebody that's having problems, let me know. I mean, if somebody had a lion kill a month ago, I can't go remove it. I've got to be able to confirm it was a lion. I got to confirm the damage, okay? But let them know. If they had problems a month ago, they might have it again.
Okay.
Coyote, lion, wolf, bear.
Yeah, appreciate knowing that.
All right. It is 1:30 and this meeting is adjourned. You'll go down to your car and get them some cards?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
And the pre-made highly woodpecker cane box? Or the designs?